Florian's travel mosaic, cold sweetness between timeless Baroque buildings, Modica and its hidden UNESCO World Heritage treasures in Sicily, Italy 2024. Buongiorno, and welcome to another piece in Florian's travel mosaic. This time I'm taking you back to Italy, to the town of Modica on the island of Sicily. So look forward to picturesque views, beautiful buildings, and exciting specialties. What attracts me to Modica? Modica was on my bucket list when I visited Sicily at the beginning of the year because there is something very special here, which I will come to in a moment. As a fan of beautiful architecture, it was also a must for me to visit the late Baroque towns of the Val di Noto. Together they are also a UNESCO World Heritage Site. Modica is also known as the City of 100 Churches because there are so many beautiful small and large churches here. The short form of the term City of 100 is often used to emphasize the fascinating mix of history, art, and architecture that can be found in Modica. However, this is something special that I have only found here in southeastern Sicily in Europe, and in my opinion, something that could attract more attention in Germany, but also in other countries. I'll tell you about it right after the classification. Sites in Modica and insights into its history. Of course, due to the multitude of possibilities on our tour, our city trip, I can only go into the points that were special to me during my wanderings. But my destinations are always the places off the beaten track. Sometimes they are probably touristy, but not everyone has these places on their radar. The situation and significance in Italy. Modica is a free Sicilian town in the Ragusa region in the southern part of the island. It is one of the 8 Baroque towns of the Val di Noto, also part of the UNESCO World Heritage Site. The town is enclosed in a 13-kilometer-long gorge, which is why the houses occupy the slopes and surrounding elevations as well as the lower part of the gorge. There are several overland roads that lead to Modica. However, a university or airport can only be found in Catania, about an hour away. It nestles almost picturesquely in this gorge and immediately won me over. My picture should give you an impression of it right away. The general color of the houses is bright and conveys an open and friendly atmosphere, which of course really came into its own in the beautiful weather I had during my visit. The small roads at higher altitudes do not always make it easy to get around by car. But I did a lot of walking, and thanks to the almost innate calmness of the people, you can always make good progress in Modica by live and let live. The cold sweetness. What makes Modica so unique is its chocolate. Yes, that's right, it's chocolate. Modica is famous for its unique chocolate. If you're wondering why exactly chocolate, here's the answer. Chocolate from Modica is like a little trip back in time for your taste buds. Imagine biting into a piece that is made almost exactly as it was in Aztec times. No kidding. The processing of this chocolate is a very special art that is still practiced and strictly controlled in Modica today. But what actually makes Modica chocolate so unique? The texture has bite. The chocolate is not overheated, but processed at low temperatures, i.e., cold pressed. This keeps the sugar crystals intact. They don't melt, but crackle pleasantly when you bite into them. This coarse-grained texture is their trademark. A touch of purism. Unlike conventional chocolate, you don't need to look for additives such as milk or cocoa butter here. Just pure cocoa and sugar, that's it. This allows the cocoa to come into its own intensively and unadulterated. Strong taste, less sweetness. The cocoa here tastes bitter and strong, with just a subtle sweetness that comes from the sugar crystals. Every bite gives you a flavor combination of bitter and sweet, perfect for real connoisseurs. Unusual flavors. Fancy a change? In Modica you will find exciting varieties in addition to the pure version, from citrus fruits to cinnamon, vanilla, and chili. There are no limits to the imagination, and the gentle production process allows the flavors to develop particularly well. Cioccolato di Modica AMIGP. Incidentally, it is a protected specialty. Only in Modica, and according to traditional methods, may this chocolate be produced in this way. A little piece of history and pure culinary delight in one. And a beautiful place for it. Of course, the chocolate is also available in supermarkets and can even be found in discount stores with official IGP approval, the Sabadi manufactory in the heart of Modica. But I wanted something special, so I visited an institution for this extraordinary chocolate. This manufactory is famous for its history and its chocolate processing, and the legitimacy of this reputation is exactly the impression I got on site. Sabadi in Modica is known for its special approach to traditional Modica chocolate. In addition to classic varieties, Sabadi also offers unusual flavors such as pepper, licorice, and tobacco, which give the chocolate an interesting variety. I found many interesting varieties in their beautifully and attractively designed store and also bought some and enjoyed them at my leisure. One special feature is the affinata line, chocolates that are refined in special maturing chambers and thus develop a more intense aroma. Sabadi thus presents a new perspective on Modica chocolate, in which tradition and new ideas go hand in hand. I was very pleased to see that great importance is attached to sustainability throughout the entire chocolate making process, with organically grown and fair trade ingredients that are selected and used in production in accordance with ecological and social aspects. Of course, Modica chocolate is not a chocolate that you simply consume. If you get some, enjoy them in the right setting. Perhaps with a glass of wine or in a quiet moment. In my opinion, it only really comes into its own when it is enjoyed in small pieces and not simply consumed. Clear and unequivocal recommendation. Try them. You won't regret it. By the way, I'm always happy to receive feedback, a like, or a subscription. The historic buildings of the Sicilian Baroque. To get some exercise after our sweet sins, let's take a look at the historic buildings and sites in Modica. It is noticeable that almost all of the large and eye-catching buildings were built in the late Baroque style. In my opinion, this uniform image of the buildings creates a harmonious atmosphere, as everything seems to be interwoven and connected. The Duomo di San Pietro, Apostolo UNESCO World Heritage Site. As the Church of San Pietro is located right in the lower town, on Corso Umberto I, this building was the first thing that caught my eye. At first it looks somewhat inconspicuous from the side, until you pass the last neighboring buildings and come to the square where the Cathedral of San Pietro stands. The first thing that captured my attention were the beautiful sculptures on the staircase depicting St. Peter and other figures. The next thing you notice is the staircase with wide steps leading up to the church. The imposing facade with its monumental staircase, which has 250 steps, leads to a magnificent interior, decorated with stucco work, frescoes, and elaborate altars. I think this church, which was built in the 18th century, is rightly a UNESCO World Heritage Site. I also saw a lot of activity there and many worshippers, which also makes this place a lively building in contrast to some other churches of this type. Take a look at her, it is really impressive. The Palazzo de Leva in Modica Bassa. The Palazzo de Leva rises just a few meters from the cathedral in the city center. It is a magnificent 18th century building and another example of the city's Baroque architecture. The palazzo was built by the de Leva family and impresses with its elegant facade and stylish details. Unfortunately, I was only able to see it from the outside, but the artistically designed windows immediately catch the eye and are definitely worth a second look. Museo del Cioccolato di Modica. Where there is such a delicious and special chocolate, there must of course be a museum to match. Even though my impression is that it stands out more for its chocolate-related pieces than for the history in Modica that you might expect, it is still a fascinating place. It offers a deep insight into the process of chocolate production and the history of cocoa in Sicily. The presentation of traditional craftsmanship in which chocolate is processed at low temperatures without the sugar melting is particularly exciting. It is located in the building of the former Monastero dei Benedettini, Benedictine Monastery. The Duomo di San Giorgio UNESCO World Heritage Site. We've saved the best for last, and for our ramble, that's the right place to start. Even if I've already anticipated Sabadi, there's another site to see if you make the steep start from the town up to the higher altitudes to Modica Alta, as I did. A few meters from Sabadi, the Cathedral of San Giorgio stands majestically on the hill of the upper town, visible almost all the way. This staircase, which leads to it and consists of 100 steps from the street, leads to an impressive portal and symbolizes the ascent to something sacred and sublime. I got the same impression when I stood in front of the impressive front of the cathedral. It is also in the Baroque style and blends into the cityscape in terms of color, as it was rebuilt after the devastating earthquake of 1693. When we go inside, we find a wealth of ornate details, including frescoes, stucco work, and magnificent altars. I would particularly like to highlight the impressive dome and the ornate vaulted ceiling, which make the room a particularly light-flooded and majestic place. The Duomo is not only a religious site, but also an important part of Modica's cultural heritage, and another important example of Sicilian Baroque architecture. It is therefore also a UNESCO World Heritage Site. Now, tips for your trip. Here are a few personal and culinary tips for you and your city trip to the City of Chocolate. Shopping in Modica Lower Town. Basically, I can highly recommend casual shopping in Modica. There are lots of lovely little stores with interesting products. And I'm not just talking about souvenirs, which are of course also widely available. I also found lots of interesting little things, a lot of things that were made locally with heart. So take a look and let yourself drift a little. However, I would like to highlight two examples. The Frattantoni Bakery. This bakery is located at the bottom of the traffic circle as you enter the center of Modica and offers many interesting and delicious baked goods, including a lot of traditional products. When I was there was a queue outside the store and it didn't stop after me. A little extra tip for you. For me, this is always the best indication when you see locals in the queue at a place. Someone who picks up something locally every day can only spend their time on products that are worth it. The Liberaria Mondadori. Our second nice example is Liberaria, a bookstore that also sells other items. There are not only books in several languages and lots of interesting things. What really appealed to me there was the location itself, and I'm used to bookshops away from the big chains being small and lovingly kept. That's the impression you get when you walk in, but the business goes on endlessly. You step into the next room and then into the next room again. Then there's another floor and you ask yourself, where will it end? I can assure you, it really does end in a final room. The Marina di Modica. Like many cities in Italy, Modica also has a marina. However, the Marina di Modica is not a typical marina with a harbor for fishing boats or yachts. There are primarily beaches, vacation homes, and a promenade. The town is known for water sports such as surfing. Away from the city, it is highly recommended for lovely walks on the beach and beautiful sunsets. Hotels in the city of 100 churches. As a tourist region, Sicily naturally offers many interesting places and sites for a pleasant stay. I also saw some interesting buildings that house hotels. For myself, I can say that I appreciate the freedom and independence on vacation, which is why an Airbnb was our first choice. These are also plentiful and you can unfold and enjoy yourself unrestricted. I can also recommend the Castello dei Conti on the hill, or the Church of Santa Maria del Gesù, even though I was unfortunately unable to visit them during my visit due to time constraints. Thank you for your attention and company on our tour of cold sweetness among historic buildings in the town of Valdinoto. If you liked the video, please leave me a like and a subscription. Pleasant travel and many discoveries. Wishes you, Florian.